Hi everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll show you how I painted this using watercolors. This was a fun and quick painting. I liked the composition, so I just wanted to capture that on paper and paint it for you all. First, I wanted to mention if you are in Delhi and you'd like to paint this rose with me live, offline, you can join me in my workshop on 15th December. Here is the poster with all the details. The link is in the description also. We'll have a fun and informative painting session in our workshop. Now back to the video and this rose. So this was a quick painting. It's not very detailed. It is realistic but not very detailed. I like the composition, that's why I thought it'll make a nice subject for a YouTube video. So these are the colors I mixed: a cool pink, a slightly warm pink, and a darker pink, and then the greens I saw in the petals, and then the two greens at the bottom for the leaves. So first what I did, I painted the center wet in wet. In the first step, I'm just mapping in the colors. We are not aiming for complete tonal balance in the first layer itself. In my workshop in Delhi, I'll show you how to paint a multicolored rose. And painting the center and petals of a multicolored rose can be a bit difficult. But I'll break it down into simpler steps and I'll show you a easier way to paint the center and the petals and how to do blending quickly. So it will be a fun and informative workshop. All materials are included, so if you'd like to join, link is in the description. Now I'm lifting the lighter areas while the layer is still wet. Now coming to the bigger petals around, same way I'll paint them wet in wet to map in the colors. So painting this first layer wet in wet. And I'll do that for all the petals around. Now the first layers are mapped in, and at this stage the painting looks very bad, and the so-called ugly stage of a painting. But we'll build up and give shape to the painting, and it will look realistic and nice. So now wet on dry, I'll start building up in the darker areas to give shape to the petals so that the petals emerge and to build up tone and give realism to the painting. Now I have switched to a smaller size 2 brush. I'll mention the materials used in the caption in the description of this video. Softening with a clean and damp brush. So now I'll continue the same wet on dry to build up and give shape to the painting. You can see after this layer of wet on dry, the petals have started to take some shape. And I'll continue doing the same wet on dry. This is a light flower, so I'm building up in lighter layers, adding another light layer over here to build this slightly darker area of this petal and soften with the clean and damp brush. Now in contrast, I see the center petals are looking slightly lighter. So all these dark shadow areas in the center, where the petals are tightly bound in the center, it is darker. So wet on dry, with another layer of wet on dry, I am building up and darkening these dark shadow areas where the petals meet in the center and where they are all clustered together. Slightly dry brushing, adding some texture which I see in this petal. So this is a slightly older petal, so it has some slight texture. Wet on dry, building up this darker shadow area. Darkening the shadow in between these two petals. Wet on dry, I can also add in some veins. There are not many veins visible in this. So this painting, actually this flower I saw in the nursery, and I took a photo from above from a slight distance. So the photo was also not very detailed, but I liked the composition. That's why I wanted to paint it, how the leaves were framing the flower, the top view of the flower. Painting this sepal with some slight dry brushing and wet on dry. With some light layers building up the darker areas, like over here where it bends into the shadow, it's slightly darker. Now I think the flower is done. It's looking realistic and I don't want to just overdo it with a lot of details, and the photo was also from a distance, so I leave it. And now wet in wet, I'm painting the leaves. So I'll show you one leaf. So I'm doing the first layer. First I added a layer of the bluish color, and now after that was completely dry, wet in wet, I'm mapping in the dark green. The leaf again, or the leaves, are not very detailed, they are more in the distance. Lifting the lighter area. Some light and dark areas are just visible in the leaves. The details and each and every vein is not visible because it was clicked at a distance. So I just want to show those light and dark areas, slight contrast and realism. The layer is slightly damp, so I'm just dropping in some more color in the darker areas. It has not started to dry yet. Now it's completely dry, and with some darker color I'll shape these serrated edges of the leaf. Wet on dry. And wet on dry, I'll just build up the darker areas a bit more before I leave this leaf. So we'll come back to this later. First I'll do the same in all the other leaves. So I've painted the initial layers in all the other leaves and also built them a bit more. Now I'll show you the same building up wet on dry which I did in the other leaves. I'll show in this one. So wet on dry, I'm building in the darker areas of the leaf, adding color over there and softening. Darkening the serrated edges wherever the edges are lighter and not shaped correctly, just slightly shaping them wet on dry with the tip of the brush. Wet on dry, we also need to darken the shadow of where the leaf and petal meet. So there will be a slight shadow over there. So we need to build that to get the right tonal balance and contrast. Now I'll take some pink, and now in contrast to the leaves, these dark shadow areas in the center of the flower are looking a bit light. So to build the correct tonal balance, I'm just darkening these wet on dry with the dark pink, building up those shadow areas where the petals meet in the center. Sometimes you need to build the tonal balance of the flower which you completed because after you paint the leaves, after you complete the leaves, some of the darker areas might look light in contrast. So you have to do the tonal adjustment of the tonal balance just as a final detail. So now the painting is complete. It's not very detailed, but it is looking realistic, and I just wanted to capture the composition of the flower with the leaves around, and I think that looks really nice. So I'll just leave it at this stage. It was a fun and quick painting. If you have any questions, please do ask in the comments. I've listed out the supplies used in the description, and the link to my daily workshop is also in the description in case you want to check that out and join us. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye and take care. Thank you for watching and subscribing. Bye.